Good morning, Paul. Thank you for sparing some time to talk to us about your experience working with Kearney. This was probably a couple of years back where we helped you retender the AMS portfolio, which primarily consisted of SAP applications. So if you don't mind, can you please share what you were trying to do at that time, how Kearney helped you, and the impact we collectively created?
Yes, sure. Nice to talk to you again, Mohit. So yeah, as you've mentioned, the background was that we had an organization that had been doing application management support primarily on our SAP stack for us for about a decade. And while we were not quite sure whether we wanted to extend or not, we absolutely knew we had to go out to the market to test to see if we were still getting the best deal and in the best kind of way. Where we started was just a quick market test. And through the challenges we got with COVID and the realities of going through the process, it extended probably quite a bit longer than what we initially thought. But I also believe that the outputs we got were really beneficial. I think the first point, when I think back into how we approached things, is how we went to market is not, in the end, was not how we started. Kearney brought a couple of different sourcing solutions or methods to the table. And we didn't end up taking any of those in their native or suggested form, but we ended up with, I think we called it a market-led RFP in the end. I think you've mentioned one or two other names. But effectively what we did was we tabled the problem, and then we asked the market, how would you solve this problem? And then we went eventually out to RFP to go, now that you've told us how we should solve it, how would you do it and what would that cost us? And so for us, it was completely brand new, and we actually had those people doing the work telling us how they do the work in the market and what it should cost. And I think we got a really good outcome in the end. For me, the benefit of having Kearney around the table was to have a partner that's close enough that you could have sort of those conversations you can't have with any of the respondents. But also someone that's a little bit removed and just more of an expert around these processes in general. And so while the process we followed was a co-design, that was a new process, but you had people who brought really good experience with sourcing in general, and they did tap into quite a few international experts that we got to speak to as we went through the process. And in the end, I think we having Kearney at the table got us, we together got to a better outcome that we would have been able to achieve on our own. There's no doubt about that in my mind.
Excellent. And if I was to ask a closing question, Paul, in terms of the impact created through this competitive co-design process where a few SI sort of provided input into some of the key decisions which were being made around the scope and around the commercials of it, what kind of commercial impact did you see at the end of this process?
Look, I think, well, I'm probably not going to go into any specifics. There was a large two-figure improvement on our financials. Clearly, we went into the process wanting to get a better financial number at the back of it all. We absolutely did. So commercially, it was successfully for us. I think the competitive nature of the co-design it gave us a better output, not only commercially, but also operationally. But yes, also it left me with walking away. We had confidence that our operating model and the way what we have landed was based on the latest market trends, and that we got the best possible outcome. It was probably the biggest win. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you very much, Paul. That was very helpful. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you very much.